All right, guys, it's Kyle with another episode of Unlocking Your Inner Strength. Today we took a road trip up here to Connecticut. Well, man, Steve Oroscoe. So, Steve, thanks for being with me, man. Thanks for having us.
Thanks for coming.
Yeah, we had a killer workout. It was good, man. He's the real deal. And, just saw that Steve was getting into fasting, and that's a passion of mine. So let's start out, Steve. Just kind of tell everybody a little bit about your backstory. So where'd you grow up? Tell us about your family, and then we'll go from there.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of chapters of my story. Rhode Island, born and raised. Went to school in New York City. I went to Pace University, majored in finance and marketing. And while I was there, I found jiu-jitsu, which is what I fell in love with, MMA. And going from New York, I got recruited by a firm in Connecticut called Barnum Financial Group. And I just fell out of love with the industry. Finance just wasn't my thing. And I decided to turn pro as a fighter because I was training. I wrestled my entire life. Moved to California in 2009, went 8-1 as a pro, and the rest is history.
Cool, man. So let's go back then to the early years.
Yeah.
We were talking before. So you grew up wrestling, playing soccer,
Yep.
right? And with wrestling, you got second in the state,
Yep.
junior year and senior year,
Yep.
right? And tell us a little bit about that, man, because that's a different mentality when you're a wrestler. That's like...
I'm big on saying wrestling made me. There's a different mentality that goes into wrestling that no other sport can give you. The mental fortitude, the toughness, and I think the ability to lose and then have to get on the mat the next day and still go just as hard is what makes people so strong in that sport.
Sure, man.
And it's just you versus one other person. There's nothing like individual sports.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I think it's, I grew up playing basketball, but I always said with like wrestling, I think there's so much that you can learn, that you can't learn in other sports, man.
Nope.
Right, like you're
Nope.
saying, it's just
You
you
can't.
and you. Can't point the finger at anybody else.
Yeah, it really is you versus you. I know it's you versus another opponent, but at the end of the day, it's like a war of attrition. Like who's gonna break first?
Sure.
You know?
Oh yeah. And now it was at the age when you started getting into the gym and training. Like when did you?
Oh,
start?
absolutely. Yeah, I started training. I started training hard in high school, like lifting weights.
Sure.
But I was always a little guy, so I wrestled. Think about this: 112, 119, 119, and 125. So I was a small guy in high school.
Wow.
Yeah, I grew in college.
You grew in college.
Yeah.
Now when you went to Pace, right?
Yep.
Did they have wrestling there? Did you?
No. When
Okay.
you come from a state like Rhode Island, the chances of you wrestling at the next level is very difficult because you're from New Jersey.
Yeah.
If I go down to New Jersey, even if you're a state champ, so I'll tell you a great story. So my junior year, after the season was over, we had a tournament the week after states. And in that tournament, we had kids from New York and all other states coming to Rhode Island to wrestle. It was at Roger Williams University. And there wasn't enough kids in the weight class. They combined two weight classes. It was like 120 to 130. Now, as our 130-pound state champion went against this kid who was a 119-pounder who didn't even place at states in New York, and he lost. So, like, it goes to show the difference in state because, the competition is a whole different level.
Yeah.
Big time.
Yeah, Jersey's known for, I think it's because we have so many people. It's so densely populated.
Yeah.
But phenomenal wrestling, every sport.
Because you guys also have a lot of youth programs.
Yeah.
You don't have that in New England nearly as much. You have a couple amazing ones, but you might have to travel. Like me, I live in New Haven, so for me to take my son to the real programs, I got to drive almost an hour.
Wow.
Because there's nothing where we are like locally that's competitive wrestling.
Yeah, so that hour drive turns into a 4-hour commitment, right?
Yeah. So now I got to change that.
Yeah.
I'm going to change that.
Yeah, that's big, man. So after Pace, then fell out of love with finance.
Yep.
Right. You got into jiu-jitsu when you were in New York City.
Yep.
And you went out to California. So what was the mindset there, where you're like, I'm going to go all in on this dream? Tell us about that journey out there.
Yeah, I spent 3 years just training before I even fought pro. I had a few amateur fights, but really to get my boxing and Muay Thai up and my striking, which I did. And then I had my first fight. It's funny because all my fights ended up on the ground. Think of my 8 wins, like 6 were rear naked chokes,
That's your go-to.
Yeah, it's always my go-to. Ground and pound, pitter patter, make them turn, knowing they're going to turn to move away from the punch and just sink it in.
So when you went out there, did you know anybody out there, or was it just...
Yeah, so my best friend in high school, who's still my best friend today, he moved out there a few years before I did, and he started working at the boxing club. Now this kid, named is Ron Casper, the best athlete I've ever known.
That's
He
your
was
best friend?
Yeah, he was the kid in high school. We went to rival high schools. We became best friends because our high school sweethearts were best friends in my high school. Now this is the kid who, all-state football, ran a 4.2 40, state champion in the 100 meters, got a scholarship to play football. So super athlete. It's funny because now he never wrestled, never did jiu-jitsu. And I remember the first time I went out there, he started getting into it. I would mop him like crazy. And fast forward now, I can't even keep up with him. He's a black belt. I think he's got his first stripe. He's a monster.
Yeah, that's big
He's
time.
a monster.
That's big time.
Yeah,
So
big time.
So you went out there, knew him, found the gym. Then you went to his gym where he was training at?
Yep. I started working there too.
Started working there?
Yeah, I started teaching boxing classes.
Okay, so you started teaching
so I lived
boxing
in the gym
all the time.
all the time.
And then from there, you got into MMA fighting,
Yep.
right? Went 8-1, you said?
Yep.
8-1. What was that like, man? Getting into the ring?
The scariest thing on the planet. Like wrestling, you're nervous, obviously, it's your adrenaline. But man, getting into a cage and fighting another human is a very scary thing. Like, I would probably shit 10 times before I got in that cage.
Is that right?
I think almost everybody is scared. Your adrenaline, it's like your body preparing for war.
Yeah.
You don't know what's going to happen. Like wrestling is more just, it's not painful, not getting knocked out.
Yeah.
You might lose, but fighting is a different ballgame. Your family's there, your friends are there, my mom is always there. So you're in the back room and you're just, you're warming up. Like, man, like, I'm throwing these punches, but they're not even coming out right, and I feel like I got anchors on my feet. But once that cage door closes and that ref says go, it all goes away.
All goes away. You
Huge
just go.
adrenaline dump, though.
Oh, I bet, man. And
Huge.
what was the after a fight? Right, I've never been in the cage before. After a fight, would you be drained? Like, what was that experience like as far as recovery?
I'd be on a adrenaline rush still. But the funny part is every time you leave and you're like you're on your way home, you're going out, all the pain just starts to creep in. Even if it was a 2-minute fight or a 1-minute fight, just from the punches, because you're punching you with like reckless abandonment. My hands are hurting. You're feeling like just different pains in different areas. Like, why does that hurt?
Yeah, you're working all this stuff, man.
Yeah, all the stuff.
So you do that. What was at that point, was the vision to try to make it to something like the UFC?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
My goal in the beginning was to get to 10-0 and then try to get in. Because the thing about fighting is you really need to learn composure. Everything you say you're going to do in the fight and you train for it all gets thrown out the window because your adrenaline just takes over. So learning how to be composed in the cage takes time. So I was like, I'm going to get 10 pro fights, get 10 wins, not fight anyone who's a monster. Just like in boxing. In boxing, people build their records. Unfortunately, in MMA, it's almost like you're supposed to fight the biggest, baddest person every single time. I think it's kind of ass backwards. So again, my goal was to get to 10-0, but when I was 8-0, I got the opportunity to fight the #1 kid in Australia.
Wow.
And he was like 16-4 at the time. He was like one fight away from the UFC, the hometown kid, striker. I was like, oh man, I can take this kid. So had a full camp and went to Alliance MMA to really step it up. And I was there. My fight camp was, like I told you, Michael Chandler. Michael Chandler's actually first fight camp. He actually moved there at the same time.
Nice.
I think he's from St. Louis. So I had Michael Chandler, Miles Jury, Jeremy Stevens, Dominic Cruz, Kevin Gastelum. There was just like a lion's den of monsters. And that was the first time I really realized I wasn't as good as I thought training with these guys. But long story short, I got to fly over to Melbourne, Australia. I was there for almost 2 weeks. Great experience. Had to cut like 20 pounds in a week. Yeah. I was drained, and I lost. I let my ego get the better of me because he was a striker. And I was like, let me test out my striking. And as we're going out, pop, 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 leg kicks, leg kicks. And then we both threw a punch at the same exact time in the first round. I have a picture of it. He threw a right and I threw a left. And it's like I had just missed and he had just landed and my chin's like this. And I don't remember anything after that. It was like survival mode. So I watched the video. It shows me like backing up against the ropes. He comes in, throws an uppercut, and I drop. And I still remember this like it was yesterday. Like I'm on all fours. My nose is pouring blood. The ref is yelling at me. I'm in my corner. My coach is screaming at me. He's throwing punches from the back. which you don't feel because adrenaline, but it sounds like gunshots going off in the back of my head. And I literally just froze when all I had to do was turn over and pull guard, get my composure back. But what felt like 5 minutes was probably 5 seconds. And before you knew it, it was ding, 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 fight was over.
That was it.
That was it.
And
That was
then-
tough.
Yeah, man. Where did he go? Did he go on to the UFC?
No, he didn't. He had one more fight. He had another fight for a title. He won, and then he lost to another kid. And the kid he lost to went to the UFC. I think he fought Daniel Hooker,
Okay.
and he lost to Hooker.
Okay.
Yeah.
So then you came back to the States from that. Then what happened? Like
I was done.
you were done.
I was done. My body was so beat up.
Okay.
My son was 1, and I was 33, and I was like, man, for me to get into the UFC now, that's like 3 or 4 more fight camps. Like I don't have that in me anymore. You know, and I have an MBA, you know, I have an education. I was like, let me do something else with my life. So that's what I did.
And then what was the next step in the professional career at that point?
Yeah, so it was really 2 options. It was, I love my sport so much, what can I do to stay in it? So it was 2 options, either open up my own gym, have my own fight team, because I love the sport so much, or become my own promoter, start my own MMA league. So at that time, in horrible rationale, I said, man, I don't think I want to be up at 5 a.m. to be in the gym and cleaning mats at 10 o'clock at night. Let me deal the other route and go business side. So I started my own MMA league called Smash Global. And I just wanted to do it different because I came from the finance world. So I went to all these black charity, you know, galas and fundraisers where, you know, you're in your suit and tie and they have white collar boxing. Like, why can't we do that for MMA to get that crowd? Because at the time, boxing is very Formula One, MMA is NASCAR. So you're not really getting that Formula One crowd to come watch the sport live because the crowd is so aggressive. So I said, what can I do to get that crowd to come? So what we did was I built it like a wedding. So we'd have like 20 to 25 tables of 10, just like a wedding rounds with a cage in the middle. And while the fights are going off, you're eating filet and salmon. I had the full red carpet, full open bar, black tie and gown. Always honor someone of influence who made an impact in the sport. So we've honored people like Mel Gibson, Steven Seagal, Freddie Roach, Chuck Liddell, Tito Ortiz. So and that was all in Los Angeles.
And so how would you get, like, because the business aspect is fascinating, how did you get in touch with somebody like Mel Gibson or somebody, Steven Seagal? Like, how did that happen?
You know, I think it was just a collateral effect from the first one. So my second show, I don't take all the credit for going to Los Angeles. So my first 2 shows were in San Diego. Now the second show I had a woman come see it. Her name was Jackie Callan. They call her the Queen of Boxing. She was the manager for Tom Hitman Hearns, for example, and James Toney. And they did a movie about her. I think it's called Against the Ropes or something like that. And so she came down from LA and she wanted to get into the sport of MMA and she was, hey, let me help you. We should bring the show to Los Angeles. What do you think? So I kind of hired her as a consultant. And so she brought me to LA. She introduced me to Freddie Roach. And that was our first honoree. So we had him as our honoree and Tommy Hearns was our host. And it was amazing. So from there, it was just like, I already had this model of look what we can do. So going to the next person, which was for Tito Ortiz, it was simple. And the next person was Steven Seagal. Just when you already have a benchmark, and people see that this person was already involved, they're more apt to do it.
Sure, man.
It made selling tickets easier because to get people to spend $500 on a ticket for a sport that they don't normally go watch is difficult.
Yeah, for sure,
So
man.
having that like honoree presence makes the difference.
Okay, man. So,
Yeah.
and how long did you run Smash Global for?
They've had 10 shows.
10 shows.
So we haven't had one this year. We had one last year.
Okay.
When I moved back here on the premise of we're going to start them here.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So that's why you came back out to the East Coast,
Yep.
to Connecticut, and where's the next, like in your mind, where's the next one going to be at?
Yeah, so we took over a venue in Bridgeport. It's an old bank, like a 1930s bank, where it's like, you know, floor-to-ceiling marble, gold ceilings. The place is beautiful. So we're going to do them in there.
No kidding.
Yeah,
That's cool, man. So you got the real entrepreneurial mindset.
yeah.
That's great, man.
Big time.
Yeah. So what do you, from your wrestling background, then MMA, how did that mindset transfer over? Because being in business it's like the loneliest planet in the universe, right? Like a lot of people can't relate to what you go through and all the ups and downs. How did that mindset from fighting transfer over to running your business?
There's no quit.
No
You
quit.
have to trust the process. Most people don't. Most people quit before they actually get to that tipping point. You know, as an entrepreneur,
Yeah.
the first couple of years, you're not making money. You're just not going to. But at some point, you will
If you don't quit.
if you don't quit.
If you don't quit, man.
I saw a T-shirt the other day. Someone I follow was like Derek Weeda, I think it is. He had a T-shirt on. The back of it said "Too stupid to quit." And I was laughing. I was like, "Yeah, that makes sense."
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, man. There's this guy John Carlton. He's a famous marketer, but one of his books is the Entrepreneurial's Guide I can't remember, No BS Guide to being an entrepreneur or whatever. But in the beginning, I remember he says, if an entrepreneur knew what he was going to go through,
Yeah.
he would be running for the hills the other way, man. Most
Big
people
time.
wouldn't even, go into it. So now you got that still going, and then talk to me about you got a big 15,000 square foot facility you're opening up too, man. So tell me about that.
Yeah, so in Q1, we're opening up Smash HQ. So we're at about 15,000 square foot training facility. It's in Clinton, Connecticut. It's going to be about 10,000 square foot of commercial training, then about 1,500 square feet for semi-privates, podcast studio, and just do something different. So on the shoreline where we live, once you hit New Haven and go all the way up 95 to Rhode Island, there's nothing. But there's a lot of money, a lot of great athletes. So to bring something there is needed. Like I said, wrestling.
Yeah.
There's no competitive
There's
wrestling.
nothing.
There's nothing.
So you
And
saw
we're
the
putting
opportunity.
into a sportsplex that's 250,000 square feet, and in that sportsplex, we're also going to have 18 pickleball courts, 2 indoor soccer fields, a restaurant and brewery, 10 virtual golf simulators. That's going to be huge because that will help feed the gym.
Sure, man. Sure, I love the vision too, man. You're
Yeah.
not thinking small.
No, never, never.
You're going for it, man.
Yeah, my partner Nick always says that I try to build rocket ships, and I try to take a step back and listen to him, but sometimes it's very difficult.
Sure.
Because I'm very ambitious, sometimes overly ambitious.
Yeah. You're a visionary.
Try to be, yeah.
Yeah, that's it.
Can't help
man.
it.
Yeah. So, with the social media stuff, that's how somebody tagged me in one of your posts. That was how I came across you, and I said, "Man, this guy's interesting." When did you really start? Because you got a huge following, right, on Instagram and all that. What was that process like? When did you decide, hey, I'm going to use this to enhance everything I'm doing business-wise? Like, when did you go all in on the social media?
I think I just really started wanting to go all in probably the last 6 months.
Wow.
I kind of really just played around with social media, but now I see the real value because I have so many things going on, and I really think once you find a niche, it makes it a lot easier to be focused. Like, so obviously my niche, almost like yours, is fasting.
Yeah.
So now that I'm hitting that and I realize how fascinated people are by fasting,
Oh, yeah.
now I really want to go all in because the way I train, plus I haven't eaten yet today,
Yeah.
so I'm always training fasted. I'm like, there's other people who need to be doing the same thing.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, man.
So you play around. So if I post something, for example, I don't know, a picture with me and a celebrity, you can get whatever likes. But then I post something about fasting, so many likes, so many DMs, people want to learn more, and it just gets, I don't want to say it's intoxicating, but you're just inspired to want to help these people.
Yeah.
You just can't help it.
Yeah,
Because
man.
I think that's the answer.
Yeah, for sure, man. And, I mean, the proof is in the pudding. I mean, we're the same age. You're 42. You're phenomenal shape, right? And there's not many 42-year-olds that are in your type of shape, man. So the proof is there. I mean,
Yeah.
there's not many 30-year-olds or 20-year-olds in your
Yeah.
type of shape.
Truth.
So it's
True.
really cool to see, man. And so you went in on that, and with that, what is the workload like with that, right? Because a lot of people see that and they say, "Oh man, it's easy, just shoot a video, and then he's done." But we were talking out there after the workout when I was gasping for air on the grass, man. Tell us, like, putting one video out. Tell us the effort that goes into that.
Dude, yeah, I was telling the guys before, I have respect for the Paul brothers. I remember one of their videos, they said, "Oh, we did a video every day for, 700 days or 900 days. I'm like, that's crazy. Because it's hard for me just to do one video a day, even to conceptualize it and plan it, so it's a long, hard process.
Yeah, it is, man. And
Big
it's
time.
consistency, right? And then
Yeah.
you and I were talking, like, I think it all goes back to the athlete's mindset or the gym, like when you want to give up in a workout and it's hard and it sucks,
Yeah.
right? And that's like life. That's when most people stop. And it's like, this is what you were trying, this is what you were chasing the whole time, that feeling,
Yeah.
right? And you got to push through it, man.
Dude, my endorphins go through the roof when I train like that. When I do just like your bodybuilding ISO stuff, I don't really get that feeling.
No.
I mean, I like doing it, but I don't feel it in my soul like when I'm in there. Like I want to feel like, damn, like I want to quit, and you push through it. I want to quit, you push through it. And I remember, I always train hard. When I was introduced to CrossFit back in this is when I was fighting. I was in a bar, and I got introduced to Greg Glassman, who was the owner of CrossFit.
Yeah.
We're talking about MMA, and they had just really hit San Diego hard. He was, hey, why don't you, I'll give you a free certification. So I went down to CrossFit, got certified for free. And I remember the first time I did a workout with like their team, and it was Fran. And I had never did a thruster in my life. And I remember it took me 11 minutes to do it. And everyone else is doing it in like 4, 5. I'm like, holy shit, this is fucked up. Because I'm in great shape.
Yeah.
So that made me addicted. And from there, I always trained like that. Even like Murph. Murph is by far my favorite workout, CrossFit wide.
Yeah.
Because again, like I told you, it's like chopping wood. Like you do 1 mile run, cool, but then you're doing 100 pull-ups. How many people are doing 100 pull-ups straight?
No.
I'm not doing 100 pull-ups straight,
Yeah.
so maybe I do like 20, I drop. I do 10, I drop. I do 8, I drop. By the time you're at 80, you're doing like 2 at a time, 1 at a time. So like that mental part really messes with you.
Oh, yeah.
And it's just good to overcome that.
Yeah, man. And now are you hitting it 7 days a week?
I hit it every day until I wake up and my body's like, nope. And that was like this week, for example, we went hard. It was Wednesday. Like me, I trained with my partner, Nick, and he had texted me first. He was like, are we training today? And in my head, I'm like, oh my God, I hope he doesn't want to train today, because that was the day that I woke up and I was like,
Felt it.
I felt it. My whole body, like my lower back, my legs, I'm like struggling from the bed to the toilet.
Yeah, yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So we took Wednesday off. So I just go until the wheels fall off.
Okay.
Or I know they're about to fall off.
And then you're smart, step back,
And I stepped back for a day.
recover,
I recovered.
and then hit
So I
it
went
again.
hard yesterday, and obviously went hard today.
Yeah, we got after it today.
Probably go hard tomorrow and take Sunday off.
Okay,
Yeah.
that's cool, man. As far as, so you had the CrossFit influence.
Yep.
Anybody else in like the strength and conditioning field that you kind of had as a, not that you had to have met them, but it was kind of like a mentor, like you would look at their training. Was there anybody that stood out to you?
Yeah. No.
No, okay.
But I think I could take all of them.
Yeah.
I would love to challenge like Goggins
Yeah.
or like a Cameron Haynes, like these guys that are also mental warriors.
Yeah.
I think I could outdo them.
That's, yeah, man. Yeah,
Not
yeah.
running. The only thing I can't do with those guys is run, because my Achilles and my ACL. I don't think I could run like 20 miles.
Yeah.
But everything else in there, I think I could dust them.
Yeah, man. Yeah, you're the real deal, man. It's good. It's
Yeah.
'cause there's not many people, man. A lot of people just they check the box, they go to the gym, and that's it.
Yeah,
And they
that's it.
And they might look good, but
Yeah.
performance is a different.
Performance is everything.
It is,
You
man.
can't be show and no go.
Yeah.
I always tell people I train for the zombie apocalypse. When
Yeah.
the Walking Dead come,
Yeah.
I'm ready. I'm out.
Yeah.
You're all gonna be in the back.
Dude, I tell people that, man. People tell, I'm like, especially as a man, I'm like, if you are not fit, like, again, I don't care what you look like, you're letting your family down. You're letting
are.
your community down. Because
Absolutely.
if the apocalypse happens, what are you going to do?
Truth.
You just going to sit there?
Yeah.
Like, what if you had to go out and go 2 miles and get medical supplies and come back?
Truth.
And you can't do it. And another
Can't do
thing, I mean, I'm sure that you had the same belief with men. I always believe every guy should do some type of training as far as martial art or something.
Absolutely.
Right? I mean, I think it's a primal
Yeah.
thing,
Facts.
right?
Even mentally.
Yeah.
It's funny because you see all these guys now that would talk shit about that stuff, but then they start doing it and they're like, oh my God. I see Elon doing it, and I see Mark Zuckerberg, or you see Jeff Bezos always out of shape, and he starts TRT, and he's
yeah.
like, damn, he's swole now.
Yeah.
It's like once these guys find it and they realize, wow, this actually is life-changing, then they're addicted.
Yeah.
Because if you're a hyper-successful man and you're introduced to that stuff, you're going to love it.
Yeah.
It's I think, impossible not to.
Yeah, it's the best drug in the world, man.
Best drug in the world.
You know, and I always think too, it's like, you can't buy it. Doesn't matter.
No.
Like, you can't buy being in shape like that.
No, you can't.
And it's like, to me, that's like the ultimate status symbol.
I agree.
You could have nothing else, but if you're
Yep.
in shape, you know that person is disciplined.
True story.
And I always look at, like, going back to guys, right? Being a father, if you have somebody that's out of shape, subconsciously, I can't trust them. You know, because I'm like, if you don't have the discipline to manage your body,
Yep.
the most important thing you have, right?
Yeah.
Then it doesn't matter what other success you have because you're not disciplined with the self.
Truth.
So it's like, and I don't think a lot of people make that connection, man.
No.
I
No,
think
not now.
No.
I think back in the day,
Yeah, it was different.
What
man.
was it? 70% of our country's overweight.
And I think that's probably,
That's
I think that's
crazy.
probably underestimated, man.
Yeah, it's like, for what I read, it's like 70 and change, and then, even worse than that, it's like 45% are obese.
Yeah,
That's the crazy number. Every other person is obese.
it's nuts.
That's nuts.
Just pure disease. And
Yeah.
we went to Hershey Park in June, and my wife said, hey, you know, I'm always observing everything. There was thousands of people.
Yeah.
She said, hey, Dad, you see that, Dad? He's in pretty good shape. I said, I know, I see. And I said, let me count for the day. I found 7 guys, 7 out of thousands that you could tell were hitting the gym.
Yeah.
So the percentage was so minuscule.
Go to Disney World. Jesus.
You don't see anybody, man. There's
so
nothing.
crazy.
Man. There's nothing. So where do you foresee, like now, the vision? Okay, so let's talk about the vision with your companies. What's the if you had a picture 5 years from now, what do they turn into? Like, what do you have in your mind?
Yeah, multiple gyms, number
Okay.
one. And more important, I really want to be like the fasting expert, like
Nice.
in the fitness space.
Yeah.
You know, only because I just know that I train the way that I do, and I can do that same thing on 120 hours fasted.
Sure.
You know, and I know it's just a mental thing.
It's mental.
And I think people, the only way society is going to get better, literally, in my opinion, is by fasting.
It's it. That's
You know, because I always say people have a bad relationship with food, and they're addicted. That's why people can't go a couple hours without
Yes.
eating. But our bodies are designed to go 30 days without food and 7 days without water.
Yeah.
You're telling me you can't go 3 hours without food?
Yeah.
You know, it doesn't make any sense. But like I always say too, fasting will never be promoted or implemented as a tool to live a healthy lifestyle, because if they did, medical industry would
Say the
cave,
same thing,
the
yeah.
food industry would cave, the FDA would cave, big
Everything.
pharma would cave. So it would be so detrimental to our country's economy.
Collapse. It would collapse.
Unfortunately,
Yeah.
you know, they need us
Yeah.
to be overweight.
Yeah.
Unfor-
And it's easier too, I would say, with fasting, right? Because then, to me, it's like the ultimate self-development tool.
yeah.
You know, you have all the health benefits, but it's like you have to work on that inner dialogue. You're going 2-3 days without eating. What are you going to do when that voice comes up?
Yeah.
Do you want to eat? But you're not, and if you evaluate it, you're not even hungry.
No.
So it's like, what is it? But most people, that's when they cave,
Yep.
right? And if we had a large percentage of people fasting, then I think the mind gets stronger. They're going to start questioning things. They're going to start saying, and from a big picture perspective, they want everybody to be controlled, right? Like, just do this, don't question anything.
Yeah.
Then you have more free thinkers, man. And fasting,
True.
so powerful, man. I think the only thing I put up there with it is sleep, as far as if you wanted to impact your health dramatically.
Yeah.
Even if you weren't hitting the gym yet.
Yeah.
You know, let's start hitting fasting. So what really piqued your interest into fasting?
Well, how about this? If someone's overweight, right?
Yeah.
What do you think is easier to get them to do? You think it's easier to get them to say, hey, listen, let's start closing your eating window, or let's do what people normally tell you to do? Think about this. 5 meals a day at 300 calories, right? So that's 1,500 calories. So you had a 500 calorie deficit every day. So you're basically losing a pound a week. So you're telling people who are already addicted to food to let food control their life every 3 hours.
It's crazy.
And if they eat 300 calories, they're hungry. Within 2 hours, they're already thinking about their next meal.
Yeah.
So that is so ass backwards. That's what doctors, that's what big pharma, that's what the fitness industry tells people to do, because the fitness industry, these influencers, that's what they do. But they're committed and dedicated. Like they're disciplined enough to eat, to meal prep.
Yeah.
But someone's overweight isn't going to do that. So telling them, hey, listen, don't eat within 3 hours of waking up, and don't eat within 3 hours of going to bed. Step one, that's all I need you to do. You know, and that's a lot easier
Way easier,
than this this like meal prep.
Yeah, it's
Way
too
to go.
complex. It's too fast.
It's way too complex.
Yeah, and like you said, man, it's the only when people. One of the first things I tell people, food is a drug, right? You got to make that
It is.
connection, right? What other drug are we trying to solve the issue by saying, okay, have it frequently, just small. Like if you're an alcoholic, hey, just have a beer every 3 hours.
Can't.
It's not going to work,
No, it's not.
right? And then you do have a lot of these. The influencers and a lot of the people in the industry, man, I call it fake fitness experts because they just follow the dogma, right? They might look good. Say, okay, I'm eating 6 meals a day. This is going to work for everybody, right? And they don't even want to hear the fasting stuff. But guys that are fasting longer, like you and myself, they're not really studying that stuff. So I take the science. I'm like, throw it out the window, man. They're studying, 16-hour fast. I'm like, that's not for most people going to do the trick, right? When they get into it, yeah, they've studied that, but what about okay? Go 2-3 days, go 3 days without water, right? And people that blows people's mind too because they don't realize, like you said, the body can go.
You can.
7 days, man.
Yep.
And it's just amazing. But that people have been told you got to eat frequently, and if you go 3 days without water, you're going to die, right? So it's like this fear thing, man.
Yeah. Well, I think we've been programmed, right? So we had the food pyramid.
Mm-hmm.
We now know that's a myth and was debunked.
Yep.
And then we had breakfast, the most important meal of the day, which was a marketing scam by Kellogg. We know that was debunked. So we don't need to be eating like this. But people have been programmed. And the biggest problem with fasting is you're messing with people's way of life.
Yes.
You're telling them they've done everything wrong forever. You need to do it like this. So people are going to be resistant no matter what. Like, no, breakfast is important. I need breakfast to get my day going.
Yeah.
But no, don't work like that. You don't need it.
So
this food's supposed to be nourishment, not entertainment, but now it's become a form of entertainment. And one thing that I really noticed moving back to Connecticut from Southern California is I feel like in SoCal, food is more of a nourishment. People take their health a lot more serious. You come to New England or the Northeast, dude, food is entertainment. It's already a social construct of the Northeast.
Yeah.
Sunday sauce, Sunday cheat day.
Yeah.
It's just a way of life here,
It is, man.
unfortunately.
Yeah. No, I know, man. I got 3 brothers, and one of them was asking. We have a group text a couple months ago. He's like, "Do you think this will, ever kind of become a mainstream thing and all that?" And I said, no, because again, just what you said, man. This is a way of life.
Yep.
People have been taught this. It's like a religion to them.
It is.
Right? You say, I'm going to take that drug away a little bit, but what I found. So I've been doing a longer form fasting now, almost 4.5 years, and such gratitude every meal I have now. I pray before every meal now, right? And it's like an experience, and it's just peace. Where before, if you're just eating when I was bodybuilding back in the day, it's just mindless eating, and you're not enjoying the process.
Even bodybuilders have it ass backwards.
Oh yeah, big time.
I say this all the time too. I'm like, bodybuilders and people in the fitness industry are constantly saying, oh my God, you gotta let your muscles rest and recover. You need a couple of days off. And I'm like, okay, but when do you ever give your digestive system and your gut time to
Great point.
heal and recover?
Yeah.
And these guys won't even go 2 days without eating. Almost like this body dysmorphia. If I don't go 2 days without eating, I'm gonna all of a sudden lose all this muscle.
Yeah.
Like, you guys crazy?
Yeah.
Like they just don't think, rationally.
They don't, man. And it's just like, it's that dogma, man. This is the way he did it, or they did it, so I'm going to do it.
Yeah.
They never question it.
Nope.
Right? They never question it. I have a lot of people that will message me and say, well, you can't keep size doing that. I'm like, I feel like I keep my size, man. It's like, what are you guys talking about? Try it and then see what happens, right? But I tell people that too, man. The only thing that's going to work is fasting.
Yeah, because if those same guys who are eating 6 meals a day and influx of calories, if they let their gut heal and recover, that means when they go back to eating again, their gut should absorb those nutritions better than they did before.
Yeah.
Because it's clear.
It is, man.
And reset.
It's totally. And another thing with the fasting, like people think, oh, I can't because I got to work. I'm going to have low energy. I'm like, your energy is going to go through the roof when you fast. The mitochondrial function, all this stuff.
Yes, it does.
And it's just, they can't comprehend that. I get my energy. I'm like, no, when you eat, your gut is under attack, for lack of a better term. It takes a ton of energy to digest.
It does.
Right? And it's
and the energy that you use from fat is I think it's like 2x compared to like glucose.
Yeah.
So if you're constantly eating every couple hours, that means you're never letting your body get into a fat burning state.
Never.
Just constantly using carbs. Carbs in, carbs out, carbs in, carbs out.
Yeah.
That's ass backwards again.
Yeah. And you'll have people say, well, I'm eating clean. I'm like, it doesn't matter. You're hitting that insulin button constantly.
Yeah.
Right? And that's really the only hormone that we have large control over, right?
Exactly.
Is insulin. And it's one of the, back when, do you know Charles Poliquin? Do you remember him?
No.
Charles was great. He created biosignature. Passed unexpectedly a couple years ago, but he was like a genius. Like he trained like a lot of pro athletes, Olympic athletes. He'd really hammer home, like insulin's one of the 3 master hormones. It has a trickle down to all the other hormones. And you can control it. And he would say, when's the last time you ate something by accident? And you think about it, like, he's right.
Yeah.
I never ate anything by accident.
Yep.
So you have complete control over this. But then, you know, I have a guy at our gym, he's been on and off throughout the years. Right around COVID, he was crushing it, dude. And the guy was like 400-something pounds. Got him under 300 with fasting. And then he broke routine with COVID and all that. So now he's coming back and he said, well, there's got to be another way. I said, there is no other way. And until you make that firm decision in your head, nothing will change.
Yep.
Like part of my symbology with the panda, black or white. Either fasting or you're feasting. There's no, let me see how I feel. Let me do a little portion control. Because again, we know it doesn't work, man.
Nope.
And
It doesn't.
make up your mind and then you go. You know, you take that quitting, just like we're talking about business. Take that option off the table. If it's not an eating window, no.
Yep.
You know, don't give in to your feelings, man.
No, you can't.
But I love that you're doing that, man. With the phone, we need more people out there that are really trying to push this message forward, man. Because it's to me, it's something that's been, I think, intentionally with all the industries kind of hidden from us.
Yep.
You know, fasting is mentioned multiple times when you look at religious texts in the Bible. They talk about when you fast and when you pray, not if, it's when. Right? And I had one guy in one of the posts. He goes, you say this is biblical. Where is it in the Bible? And I was almost like, are you kidding me? Like it's all like Jesus went 40 days.
Yep.
You know, supposed to doing a dry fast in the desert.
Yeah.
You know, Moses went 40 days twice. So this stuff is there to be used.
Yeah.
And yeah, I love that, man, that you're doing that.
And everything is about elimination. People are like, what can I add? What can I do to make this easier? It's not about that. It's about what you're eliminating from your diet now.
Yeah.
You know, that's why, like, all the diets are the same. It doesn't matter what you do.
Yeah.
You could do carnivore, vegan, keto, paleo, anything. And if you do any of those, you're going to lose weight. But you're going to end up going back to your normal habits at some point.
Yes.
So if you just say, you know something, I'm just never eating before 12. I'm just never eating after 6. And if you follow, which I don't always do, I can admit, if you can't kill it or grow it, don't eat it mantra, then you're good.
Yeah.
It's really that simple.
It is. You know, it's been, I think in the fitness industry, you have a lot of people that the ego will get in the way with these people, and if it's not complex, they'll say, well, they're not going to need me then.
Yep.
You know, if I don't have to dial in all their 6 meals and give them exactly how many calories are in.
Yeah.
You know, so you take the complexity out of it, then you teach the person.
Yeah.
They can kind of fish on their own, so to speak.
Absolutely.
That's great, dude. That's great. So you've trained and fasted. You're doing a lifestyle. What's the longest you've gone?
So I've always done I've been doing this for years, obviously.
Yeah.
I always did 72 and stopped. This last time I was at 72 and I was at the gym and I felt amazing still. And I was talking to this guy and he was like, we were talking about it. I said, you know, I've never gone to 96 because I know that's the next one.
Yeah.
He was like, yo, just do it. And I was like, damn, he just challenged me in my head. So I did 96. Then I hit 96 and I had no cravings. My energy was through the roof. So I went to the max 120.
Nice.
And I don't think I'll ever do anything less than 120. I'll probably do 120 like twice a year. Because I just felt great.
Yeah.
Because, you know, once you hit, after 120 is when you can start losing muscle.
Sure.
So I don't recommend going past that.
Yeah.
You know, but damn, like the energy is crazy.
It is.
There is one moment, so during the 72s, 'cause that's where my real experience is, there is one moment where you do feel like shit.
Yeah.
It's usually like between 48 and 60, I want to say. And then between like 60 and 72, there's a moment I have this energy surge, and I'm like, yo, I feel like Superman right now.
Yeah. The clarity you get.
Clarity's
man.
crazy. I call it spidey senses.
Yeah. It's nuts, man. You realize that, you know, I remember when I did my first 48, and just thinking, it was like a surreal feeling. So like, there's people that do this all the time that maybe don't have access to food in third world countries.
True.
And it was just a kind of a weird feeling. I'm like, I'm going to bed without eating. You know, but it empowered me.
Yep.
You know, and then you experience it and you say, okay, nothing bad happened.
Yeah.
I can keep
You
going.
just got to be able to go to bed.
Yeah.
On E.
Yeah.
It's hard, man. The nighttime is hard. I give it to people. It just shows how addicted you are to food, because when nighttime rolls, do you crave chicken or salmon or anything healthy? No. You're like, I want a granola bar. I want some chips and salsa. You crave all the bad stuff.
Yeah.
Even if you're a healthy eater, that's what you still want.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
It sucks.
Is your wife into it as well?
My wife eats very clean.
Okay.
She has been messing around with fasting literally in the last 2 weeks.
Okay.
But she does like 14 and 10. I don't really consider that fasting.
Yeah, yeah, me neither.
But it's a good start.
Yeah, it is, man. That's where you
is.
just kind of.
I feel like anything below 18 and 6.
Yeah.
So like that noon and 6 p.m. eating window,
Yeah.
I think is legit. One meal a day, I think, is the best.
Yeah, that's awesome.
I do think the 20 and 4 is the most superior. I think, like I said to you, only because you can absolutely get all your nutrients in a 4-hour window.
4 hour, yeah.
That's what I try to do. Either go out to lunch after, like around 2 o'clock, and I get a double cheeseburger,
Okay.
no bun, and that's it. So you get your calories there. Or I go home and have a crazy shake, where it's like, the creatine, the glutamine, the BCAAs, 2 scoops of protein, the greens, the reds. And I just put it all in one shake and just down it.
Do
I
that.
break my fast. So at least I know I'm getting my protein for the day and my nutrients.
Gotcha.
And have my big dinner.
Nice, man.
Yeah.
That's great. That's great, man. It's I think it was just kind of serendipity, man. That I don't even know who that dude was that tagged me in your post, but it was cool, man. Like this guy's on it. So then you got linked up with what was the first form, right?
Yep. Yeah, they sent me all this shit. So I was able to play around with stuff, because I'm not a big supplement guy. I want to see what worked and what didn't. So that's why I've been doing these crazy shakes at 2.
Seeing how you
and
feel.
I do feel the difference, in my recovery.
Yeah.
And just be able to break your fast with the liquids, I think is good too.
Yeah.
Because the goal is to give your digestive system a break.
Yeah.
It's better just to have the liquids at 2 o'clock, because you're still giving it a break
Sure.
while still getting all your nutrients.
Yeah, it's almost like pre-digested.
Yeah, big time. But I will say the only thing I don't like about fasting is I think your gut becomes so sensitive, it's so optimal that if I go eat one cheat meal, it takes me 3 days to recover. So if I have, and I can't think of an example, let's say I have a pizza on a Sunday. Literally, I'm not back to normal until Wednesday night, maybe Thursday morning. I'm like, damn, why am I so bloated?
Yeah.
Because your body really, really does not like it.
Yeah.
And
Yeah, you start realizing, man.
And that's a problem.
Yeah.
That's a problem.
Yeah,
I eat that.
Yeah, it is, man, for sure.
Yeah.
That's awesome, dude. So with a couple more questions for you.
Shoot.
So you got all this stuff going on.
Yep.
And the discipline is obviously very apparent. What does the morning routine look like for you?
Morning routines, coffee.
Coffee.
Coffee to start my day, always.
The same wake up time, or is it you just go on a hike?
This summer has been very relaxed. I'm not on a structure.
Okay.
My son is off. I'm really focused on him. So just wake up, have coffee with the family, doing my emails. I try to work out at 11 o'clock. I think my favorite time to work out is 6, when things are crazy.
6 a.m.
6 a.m.
Okay.
Or even 5 o'clock. But I also like working out between 10 and 11, because if you get your kind of morning work done, work out at 11, and you're done by 12:30, by the time you get home, you shower, it's already 1:30, 2 o'clock. So then you're just breaking your fast then.
Nice.
Just an easy halftime.
Yeah. So get all the work done.
Get all the work done. Then you go back to your emails and everything else you have to do.
All that stuff.
Yeah.
And then what about the nighttime routine? Is it you have a pretty set bedtime, or is it just relaxed?
No set bedtime.
Okay.
I'm usually in bed around 10.
10, okay.
10.
10,
Yeah,
man.
maybe 11. Yeah, I fail at that part. Sleep is probably where I fail the most.
Yeah.
Unless I'm on a structure. The only way my sleep is amazing is if I'm getting up at 5, because then by the time night comes, you're exhausted.
Yeah.
So you're forced to go to sleep at 9,
Yeah.
maybe 10. If you get 7 hours, I think that's good.
Yeah.
I never get 8.
Yeah, it's a
Rarely.
rare thing, man. I find that the rare times that I get 8, it's almost like my back will hurt a little bit. It's too much for me.
Yeah.
I'm like, I don't need that
Yeah.
that much. 7's optimal, man. That's the one area where, I
Yeah,
was,
there's a window
yeah,
that if you sleep past it, you feel worse
yeah,
than if you just got up earlier.
yeah.
It's a crazy thing.
It is, man.
Yeah.
It is. It's it's
And we all have different biological clocks too.
everybody. Yeah,
I think mine in a perfect world is 12 to 8. Go to bed at 12, wake up at 8.
yeah.
If I had my 8-hour window that I could just choose, it
That
would
would
be
be it.
that.
That would
Yeah,
be it.
'cause I'm a
Man.
night owl,
Yeah,
big time.
yeah.
Yeah.
You like doing
I
the
do like
nighttime
night.
stuff, man. Now, are you a reader? Do you like reading?
No, I'm more of a YouTube guy.
YouTube.
Yeah, I just listen.
Anybody like that you like that's your go-to that you're listening to?
I wouldn't say anyone in particular. You know what I do like was Dr. Was it Niam Jam? I don't know how to say his last
He's an
name.
Indian dude.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's good,
Niam
man. Where's the cat?
Jamadas, yeah.
Yeah, he's good, man.
He's like my favorite. He's the fasting
Yeah.
doctor. Listen to all his stuff.
He's really good.
So everything he says is so on point.
He's good.
I'm like, man, if everyone listened to this doctor,
He's great.
everyone would be good.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, he hits it hard, man.
Yeah.
He's
But-
good. Now, for the fathers out there, what one piece of advice would you give us to focus on and to maybe become a better father?
Time. Where hyper successful men fail is they feel like they have to work to provide when your kids don't care how much money you have, they want your time. And I didn't realize that myself until COVID happens and everything got shut down. And I literally became a first grade teacher for my son because the school was shut down. My wife was still at work. So I was at home every day at the table with him, going over, doing all the work with him. And the first 2 weeks sucked, just sit there and be patient, but we became so close that he's like ride or die on my side, So now, I coach soccer. He comes to the gym with me, so we train, like me and Nick will train, and then I'll train him after. So we're just always together. I couldn't imagine it any other way.
Yeah.
So even like when he went to second grade, the first day of school, I actually felt like a woman. It's like, oh my God, he's going back to school. I don't want him to go back, But men don't understand that.
Yeah.
Most men are just hunt.
Yeah.
They don't ever like just sit back and gather. And you realize it's all about quality time. You give your kid quality time, it's game over.
Yeah. So such a good point, man.
Yeah.
And
it's tough, but it's tough because where's that common ground of I'm going to give up this to get this?
yeah.
Yeah.
And it's funny, man, because like you said, if you're really striving for success, it gets so easy to focus on that
Yeah.
and the feeling that you think that's going to give you, and the feeling you can have right now just by spending time with your kids.
Yeah.
And they're not going to be there. I read something the other day which really kind of hit me. It was like, live your children's childhood. Live it with them,
Yeah.
because before you know it, man, it's gone.
Yeah, there's another quote I'll give you too, and I don't want to say this like I had bad parents. I had great parents, but the quote of "Be the parent you wish, or be the father you wish you had as a child."
Sure.
So like everything that my dad didn't do, I make sure that I do.
Yeah. Yeah.
So all that hands-on time and being a part of every single sport and doing those things are really important.
It's amazing, man.
So be the parent you wish you had.
Yeah, no, I think it's great, man. I mean, I look at my parents, same thing, great. Like, I look in wonderment sometimes. I'm like, how the heck, my dad coached all four of us all the time. And I'm like, how did he
Yeah.
do that? Because I'm coaching my boys now, and that's a lot, man.
It is.
You're trying to go to this game,
Yeah.
then okay, do you have time to go work on the skills with them? You
Yep.
want to put them in the best position to succeed. But I think that's our duty is, okay, take the good things from our father, apply that, and then maybe they fell short. Because it's like they said, man, there's no manual that comes with it.
No one's a perfect parent. It's
No.
impossible.
Yeah. And then what about for the husbands, for the fathers? Like, knowing you just a short period of time, seems like you guys have a great relationship, you and
Yeah.
your wife. Like, what's one tip you could give? Okay, focus on this with your marriage.
Communication.
Yeah.
Yeah, sometimes I think a lot of marriages fail because you don't communicate your expectations. So when your partner is doing things that you expect them to do, but you don't say anything, then it's this built up anger. Like if my wife's not doing something, I tell her, and she tells me as well. I think it's important.
It's huge, man.
And not to put everything on the other person.
That's huge.
Like men, we're like, okay, I pay all the bills, so you take care of the house and you take care of the kids, but I mean, you still have to give them a break too.
Yeah, it's full time, man.
It's full time.
And I think I just had a conversation with a client yesterday, a woman. I said, you got to talk to your husband about this because you're working full time.
Yeah.
So is he. So he may not, a lot of guys don't realize that that's full time, man.
Yeah.
Being a mom or just a parent. But the mom, it's such an important job in the communications where people, that split happens.
Yeah.
You don't talk about stuff for years.
Because both roles, I don't think the other side doesn't truly understand each other.
Yes.
I say I understand it more now only because I was forced to stay home and almost be a mom for a year.
Yeah.
Like, damn, this is a lot of work.
Yeah.
I would rather be at work grinding and be stressful,
Yeah.
stressed out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I get it, man. That's great.
Yeah.
Now, what last one I'll hit you with? If you could go back and give 20, 25, 30-year-old Steve advice, what would you tell him?
Man, what would I tell him? I would just tell him not to quit, which I won't do anyway.
You're already doing it, man. Same thing. That's
Yeah.
a great thing, man. When you look at
Yeah.
that and you say, man, I wouldn't change anything.
I'm a risk taker. I don't think most people are. And I want to say too, I was able to kind of like pursue dreams and passions simply because I went backwards in life. Going to college and getting my MBA and being in finance, I know if shit ever hit the fan, I could easily go back to corporate America making six figures, no problem. I actually have 2 masters, with no issue. But I'm not that guy. I'm not corporate. I never have been. I tried it. I hated it. Some people do it and they're okay with being a worker bee. I'm not that guy.
No.
I need to have my own schedule and just do what I want to do, even if I have to make sacrifices. Because I know in the end it's all going to work out.
Yeah, man.
It has to.
It is, yeah, it is, man. I can see it from an outsider's perspective, man.
Yeah.
It's just that, like you said, the not quit attitude. If you don't quit,
Yep.
if you take that off the table, there's only one thing that's going to happen, success.
Truth.
Right, success.
And build a circle.
Yeah.
Got to have people around you that really support and also push you and challenge you too. And that's tough.
Yeah.
It's tough to find that core.
It is.
Living in LA, and I've lived all over the place. So every time I go somewhere, I kind of pick up a couple new people, let's just say. But the amount of people, like in Los Angeles, for example, are just sharks. They just want to latch on and free everything. You can't trust anybody anymore. So it's just good to find good people to grow with.
Oh, yeah. It is, man.
So I would tell 21-year-old Steve that. Find your strong circle and just go all in.
Go all in. Latch on to them, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, that's great, man.
Yeah.
Now, where can, when people watch this, listen to this, what's the best way for them to get in touch with you or follow you?
So my personal IG, Steve Oroscoe. But I'm also going to start building out our Smash HQ page, which is why I'm building all this content. So I'll be putting all my workouts of the day, all the fasting talking points, and everything as far as the build-up of our new gym on that page.
Excellent,
Just start building up that brand.
Yeah, man. You guys are going to crush it.
I can't
We're
wait.
going to come back for a workout as soon as you open, man.
I feel like a shark in a pond now. You're in Los Angeles, sharks everywhere. You come back to small town USA, people here, I don't know if you noticed, but people here consume, they don't produce. All my friends, for example, 1,000 followers on Instagram, they post once in a blue moon, but they're all watching every single one of my stories. So I'm you're on Instagram all the time, and you own your own business, why aren't you doing stuff? But again, people here just consume.
Yeah.
They don't produce.
That's a huge thing, man.
I think people care too much what others think here as well. There's so much ego in the Northeast, so much pride. But when you go to a place like Los Angeles, or if you live in New York City or Miami, if you're not producing, then you're never going to get anywhere because there's so much competition,
Yeah, that's a great,
Yeah.
It's a great thing, man. That's the perfect example of social media. Be a producer, not a consumer.
Yeah.
It's right there at your fingertips, man.
You're on it already.
Yeah.
Just post something.
Yeah.
Even if it's a story, even if you're taking something from someone else's page that you like and just sharing it onto your story.
Yeah. Provide value.
Provide value.
That's it, man.
That's it.
This has been fun, man. I look forward to
Yeah.
coming back and crushing it, man. That was good, man. It was a great thing, guys. So thank you guys for tuning into this episode. Make sure you share it. Leave a review. Make sure you follow. You know, Steve, stuff is awesome. Like I said, he's a real deal. I've been around a lot of guys in fitness, but he knows what he's talking about. He puts the work in. You know, he walks the walk. Later, guys.